Hey everybody, it's Babette Haggerty. I hope you all are having a wonderful evening. It's Wednesday night, and I haven't done one of these lives in a very long time. But I decided to go back on. I'm getting a lot of questions from people every week, and it's just so much easier for me to just answer them all at one time than do it 62 times a day with the same questions. So I hope you all are doing great. You are more than welcome to text me or email me your questions. Let me just go to my list here of my questions for the week. Okay, so hi, I ended up with a 16-month-old working line German Shepherd, and she is super reactive to cars and dogs when on walks. What can I do? All right, so this is like my stock answer for everybody. If you just bring your dog to a good basic obedience class, it's going to make a world of difference. It's amazing when you do obedience train with your dog. And I'm not talking about you doing it, for the cookie, like sit, Rover, sit, here's the treat, sit, treat, sit, treat. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about a thorough basic obedience class that lasts at least 6 to 8 weeks, where your dog is learning to walk on a loose leash in a crowd. Your dog knows to sit and stay for 3 minutes, lay down and stay for 5 minutes, come when called from the end of the leash. Those basic skills will make a world of difference in your dog. You're stimulating them mentally, you're stimulating them emotionally, and you're stimulating them physically. And when their head is right and their emotions are right and their body is right, it all comes together and you have a much happier, more confident dog. So I cannot emphasize that enough. That's one of my first questions to people when they start telling me about the problems. I say, did you ever do any professional training? Nope. Huge. I truly believe that if everyone, as soon as they get a dog, they enroll it in a good basic obedience class. Private lessons are even better. But if you do a basic obedience class, given at your local obedience club, go to the AKC website. They'll tell you all about it. Don't mind her. She's hacking away. That's what happens when you're a Frenchie. You hack a little bit. If I truly believe that if everybody did that with their dog when they first get their dog, that they would not have as many problems as they do. And I truly believe that there would be a lot less dogs ending up in the shelter. So I digress. Going back to this question. Now, you have a 16-month-old working line German Shepherd. For those of you that don't know, working line dogs are dogs that come from people who are competing with the dogs in IGP, in tracking or herding. I mean, generally when it's working dog, it's IGP, which used to be called Schutzhund, obedience, tracking, and bite work. And it changed the name. And anyway, I won't get into all of that. But that is a dog that likes to work. And that is for a competitor, somebody who excels with their dog, somebody who their hobby is training their dog. And I don't mean like you're going for a walk and you have your dog sit and stay and maybe you teach it a couple of tricks every day. This is somebody who goes out there and competes for ribbons and travels all over the country and sometimes overseas to compete against other dogs in these areas of obedience, tracking, and protection. And it can also extend into agility and herding, people who work their dogs. So working line dogs tend to be a lot more active. They tend to be super smart. And remember, I tell all of my owners, smart dogs keep dog trainers in business. If you don't want to have to hire a dog trainer, buy yourself, and I don't want to say a dumb dog because I really don't feel that there are dumb dogs, but buy yourself a dog that doesn't want to use its brain, that is really content just being chill and doesn't try to outthink you, because it's smart dogs that keep dog trainers in business. So I love smart dogs. Now back to the 16-month-old working dog. So if you're going to get a German Shepherd, or really most of any breed, you want to find out, where does it come from? What does the breeder breed for? Are they breeding for work? Are they breeding for agility? Are they breeding for hunt tests? That's super important because that's going to tell you about the activity level of the dog. So in this case, she has this working line dog. Okay, so that already tells me the dog is a lot more active than a German Shepherd that's just chill and was not necessarily bred to do any work, or was not bred to be on the go all the time. Are you okay? You're okay. All right. Was not bred to be on the go all the time. Okay. So sorry, I lost my thought for a second. So that is very important to think about. Now, in this situation, what can she do to stop this dog to react? Well, first of all, start working the dog on a 10 to 15 foot leash in an open field. And you want to do this when you have no distractions, and kind of think of a square and go from point A to point B to point C to point D back to A again. Working the dog, just start walking the dog. Walk the dog. If the dog runs ahead of you, turn around and go back in the other direction. The dog goes to the left, turn to the right. Keep moving in the opposite direction of the dog. You're going to find, and I'll make a videotape of this. There might be a similar video on my YouTube channel, but I'll make a videotape of how to start your dog walking properly on the leash. You want to keep going in the opposite direction, and you want to try to create that square with the dog walking next to you. The biggest mistake people make is that they block their dog. They restrain their dog. One of the questions I got this week is, my toy poodle is up on his hind legs. Well, if your toy poodle is up on his hind legs, barking at the other dogs, you're telling me that you're holding that leash tightly. You're restraining that dog. That is how attack dogs are trained, how dogs are trained for bite work. That's how fighting dogs are trained. They are held and restrained and held back on a tight leash. You don't want to do that. So what she wants to do is, once she gets control over the dog and the dog is now walking on loose leashes and not the other way around, she then wants to start bringing it near distractions. Okay. That is not walking down the street outside the schoolyard when the kids are playing. That is when maybe there are some ducks in the distance, like 100 feet away. You're going to slowly bring that dog to more and more distractions, but bit by bit by bit. Good dog training takes time. It's like fine wine. Don't rush it, because you'll end up going one step forward and 2 steps back. 1 step forward, 2 steps back. Do everything very slowly and carefully and methodically. And over time, you're going to be able to stop that. Now, if the fastest fix, rather than you doing this yourself, the fastest fix is getting that dog to a good obedience class. And what you can do is you can message me, tell me where you live, and I will find you a good dog trainer in that area. Now, can you help me train my new Cavapoo to not chase the bunny? Okay, so you have this pet bunny, and that's great. Nothing wrong with that. I'm glad that you have a pet bunny. You have to be careful with bunnies, because bunnies get hurt pretty easily. And yes, your Cavapoo is small, but she may also intentionally hurt it. You have to remember, Cavaliers, that's a bird dog. Okay. They do like to chase things. A poodle is also a bird dog. They like to chase things. So you have to be careful with that. I don't know how big your Cavapoo is or how stubborn your Cavapoo is, but at this point, I would keep that Cavapoo on a leash. And I believe your Cavapoo is only about 3 months old. Keep the Cavapoo on a leash. I would definitely get it into an obedience class, because one of your goals should be, can your dog downstay for 5 minutes while that bunny hops past? Then you have a well-trained dog. And until your dog gets there, I wouldn't trust that dog with the bunny. And I still would be careful with the dog around the bunny. Keep a leash on the dog, get yourself a little spray bottle, and teach the dog to stay. And when the dog starts chasing that bunny, you're going to use the spray bottle. Now, I've kind of just given you a fast fix. There are a couple of steps in there that you really need to make this work well, but I understand you want a fast fix. So that's your fast fix. Remember, fast fixes are not always long-term. So my recommendation is put some obedience in on your Cavapoo to help get that Cavapoo to the point where she can do a downstay for 5 minutes and that bunny's hopping past. You're walking down the street and the bunny's hopping past and she doesn't even notice the bunny. Those should be at least 2 of the goals that you have for you and for your new puppy and the Cavapoo. Okay. My Pit Lab mix has gained 6 pounds and the vet wants us to take off the weight. She's always very shy and nervous when we take her out. Okay, so a couple of things on the weight. Labs are notorious for being overweight. Pits are too, But pit owners, and they're all going to hate me for saying this, they love to say it's all muscle. It's not all muscle. Your dog is fat. Okay. America loves to overfeed their dogs. If you're looking down at your dog's top line and it's straight and there's no curve coming in at that waistline, your dog is fat. And your lab pit mix is probably fat. Now, this person also told me that their dog is on a grain-free diet. Get the dog off the grain-free diet. Get the dog off of any chicken. I would put the dog on a fish. Remember, I'm not a veterinarian, so do what your veterinarian tells you. I'm just telling you what I would do with my dogs. I would put the dog on a fish diet that has grain. That's super important because without grain, you're going to have heart troubles and other problems later on. So that's going to help with the weight and the food. The other thing that's going to do that is going to help you is start walking that dog more regularly. Start at a mile a day, then 2 miles a day, then 3 miles a day, then 4 miles a day. The other thing is your dog doesn't have any confidence, you said, always nervous. The more you get the dog out, the better off you are. I know she's about 7 years old now because you've had her for about 6 years, I think you said. Get her out, socialize her, take her to Starbucks. Once you get her trained, if you get her into a group class, that would be advantageous for her. When she's scared and shy and like hunkering down, don't pet her and say, it's okay, baby. It's okay, baby. You don't want to do that. You want to have her learn how to be confident and comfortable. And the best way to do that is get her out there as much as possible. All right. What's her next question? Oh, my dog got hurt at the dog park. Okay. Yeah, this one, I know this owner actually. So I hate dog parks. Dog parks are great in theory. The problem with dog parks is the average dog owner doesn't know the problem behaviors their dog is displaying until their dog hurts another dog. And that, I'm sure, is exactly what happened in this situation. It's a dog this dog was played with before, and she hurt her leg very badly. It was a bad bite to the leg. The dog was in a lot of pain despite being on painkillers. Dog's probably going to be okay. They just have to watch out for infections. She was having trouble getting the dog to eat. So I suggested, if you're having trouble getting her to eat, add some mackerel to her food, canned mackerel. It's relatively inexpensive. You can get it at any grocery store or even Walmart, or I think Target sells it also. Just get a big can of mackerel. It's very good for them. The other thing you can do is magic meatballs. And what I'll do is I will put that recipe, I think I can put it in the description of this video. The magic meatballs are great. It's not long-term, but it's raw meat. It's high energy. It's high sugar. It should not be used long-term, but it's great for a dog that you're trying to get to eat. They love the magic meatballs. The other thing is, instead of bringing your dog to the dog park, find a friend or two with 1 or 2 dogs. You have to remember, when you have a big pack of dogs playing, the bigger the pack, the bolder the dogs become. The more chaos is created also. Think of it as a schoolyard. That schoolyard bully that maybe used to beat you up in grade school, the more friends he had, the more emboldened he became. And the same thing happens with dogs. They get burlier and tougher and bigger and brawnier the more dogs in the pack. So you're better off having your dog, for safety's sake, play with 1 or 2 dogs that you know, owners that you know. It just makes things a lot safer and things run a lot more smoothly. Okay. Next question. How much is dog training? All right. Well, tell me what you want. Fast, good, or cheap? Pick 2. The grain is always cheaper after it's come out of the horse. So you have to remember, do you want good training? Do you want fast training? Or cheap training? Cheap is sometimes the most expensive. I personally love to let people know that I have a unique way of pricing. The more training, the more it's going to cost. Somebody recently asked, should I do boarding and training with my dog? Now, boarding and training has a lot of advantages. It's great if you're going away. It's great if you need to board your dog somewhere, if you've had behavior problems, house training, aggression problems with your dog, and you really need that dog to have a total immersion, total boot camp, and you're still a little wimpy with your dog, and you need to change your ways as well too. It's a great option. It's also the most expensive. However, it's also the least profitable for a dog trainer because we're working with your dog and taking care of your dog 24/7, holidays and Sundays included. When you break that down by the amount of training and by the amount of dollars you spend for that time that is spent with your dog, it's really dirt cheap. So boarding and training is great as long as you change your ways when the dog comes home and you follow all of the dog trainer's suggestions, number one. Number two, also it's important that you have realistic expectations. Your dog is probably not going to come back as Rin Tin Tin, even if he's gone for 6 weeks and you've spent $8,000. Okay. You have to do the work. Your dog can't read your mind. Your dog isn't going to know, oh, I'm home now, I have to listen. Okay. When they've been getting away with everything for the last couple of years of their life. So boarding and training is an option. The other option are private lessons, one-on-one. Either you go to the trainer or the trainer goes to you. Group classes are the least expensive way. The downside is if you miss a class, you miss a class. If you get sick, you can't reschedule it. Private lessons, you can reschedule. So fast, good, and cheap, I'd say pick two. Okay. Good training isn't necessarily going to be fast and it's not necessarily going to be cheap, but you could have it one way or the other. You just can't have all three, fast, good, and cheap. You're going to have to take two. All right. Next question. Okay. So our 2-year-old German Shepherd paces constantly back and forth in my house. I put her outside and then she goes to the door and scratches to come in. I let her in and she paces again back and forth, back and forth. A couple of things on this one. I bet you never took your dog to a good basic obedience class. I'd start working that dog every day, 15, 20 minutes. Teach it good obedience skills, teach it some agility, teach it some tricks. Keep that mind going. Don't run your dog 5 miles a day because the next week he's going to need 6. And the week after that, he's going to need 7. Work their mind, not just their body. That's super, super important. The other thing you could do is try some CBD oil in addition to good training. Nothing ever replaces good training. And some dogs need more than just obedience. Sometimes they need the agility. The agility is really helpful for dogs who have a high activity level. They need to learn how to use their body. They need awareness of their feet and their body. They need confidence. Trick training is great, especially for those of you in the Northern Hemisphere where you're going into the winter months. Trick training is wonderful because you can train that inside your house. You don't need a big yard. It doesn't matter if it's snowing. You can teach rollover, play dead, chase your tail, whatever it is you want to treat that. Whatever it is you want to train your dog to do, you can do that inside the house. Agility, some of that stuff you do need outside. It's helpful if you have some of the equipment. Some of that equipment you can buy online, however. All right. So those are a couple of the things I would suggest for your 2-year-old that's pacing back and forth. All right. The last question. My dog hates the car and won't get in. Is there any way I can help him like the car? Yeah. Put him in there. Just get him in there. What you can do is if you have a garage that you can keep your dog inside in the car without the car running, of course, and the garage door is closed, start feeding him his meals inside the car. He's going to love it. You bring him, you put him up in the car, you make him get up there. If you need a ramp, depending on the size of your dog, teach them to go up on the ramp to get into the car. But put their meals in there. Let them eat their meals in there. They're going to love it. They're going to associate the car with their meals. Give it 2 or 3 days and your dog's going to be going up in that car without a problem. So I would say that's about it for our questions for the week. I am going to be back here next week answering more questions. I do have some exciting things coming up. I have some people that I'm working with, and I'll make some announcements next week and what I have planned for the next few months as far as online offerings for training, interviews with some great trainers, dog breeders, etc. So please don't hesitate to reach out, ask me any questions that you have. And until next time, thanks for loving your dog. Be safe and take care, everybody.